last week on Sold. That any time a human's involved in anything, nothing is 100% certain. So the threat of losing customers is really real. Because if I'm right, and you're not taking care of your customers the way you really need to, that means you have an enormous amount of power at your disposal that you're not using right now. I want to share with you 9 different tactics that I'm using to make sure that my customers stay with me and stay with me for the long term. That was last week on Sold. This week starts now. Number 4, take your customer to lunch and just get him to talk to you. This is kind of along the same idea as the number 3 technique I just gave you. It's real simple though. Take them, sit down with them, and just let them talk. Look at them face to face. And I will tell you, if you go to lunch with your customer or get a cup of coffee and you don't try to sell them something, they will not only tell you everything that's going on in their business, but they're also going to tell you what they need and how you can sell it to them. And in fact, they're also going to tell you about their friends or their other business colleagues that might need what you're selling. Number 5, try to diversify your account penetration into as many areas of the customer's business as possible. I've learned that the more areas of the customer's business that I have penetration into, the more difficult it's going to be for that company to get rid of me and my organization. It's real simple. The more strength you have in the relationships, not just the relationship as in terms of one, the more power you've got. This is a very, very important thing to consider if you want to keep your customers for the long term. Especially if you're working in industries where very often the management changes, or very often there's a lot of turbulence in terms of the way the organizations are structured. Number 6, try to get your customer involved in some other projects you're working on, or maybe hook them up with some other relationships you've got. Now, this can be a little bit risky because what I'm referring to here is, let's say for example that you're working with a distribution company and they need some help with IT or maybe finance. And you might have relationships or friends or customers in IT or finance. So you try to connect everybody together. Yes, there is a risk that if there's a problem, you can lose all your customers. However, if you think about this, and of course ask your boss about this too, and really, really try to put the right people together, I have found that most of the time, not only does it strengthen all of the relationships, but everybody's more happy and everybody's making more money. Number 7, try to keep the new toy new. Here's what I'm talking about. If you sell a product or service to a customer, most of the time they won't take full advantage of all the benefits or the features that it has to offer. What I'll do is I'll call back my customers every so often to make sure they're taking advantage of everything they could. Think about it like this. You buy a new mobile phone or something technological. In the beginning, you're all excited about it and you don't learn to use everything it's got. But as time goes on, if you continue to learn how to use it, guess what? You feel more excited and more involved in the purchase. That's what I'm talking about. What you can do is you can keep the customer's motivation high much, much longer if you try to keep them playing and taking advantage of the benefits of the new toy. Number 8, determine what it's going to take for you to lose the customer. Now, this might seem a little bit strange, but I will ask my customers straight up, straightforward, what do I have to do to make you unhappy? What do I have to do for you not to be satisfied? And ultimately, what is it going to take for me to lose your business? Now, when I ask this question, obviously I have built some type of relationship. I mean, remember, they've already bought from me. And of course, when I ask the question, they're a little bit surprised. But here's what I've learned. That type of honesty after they've made a buying decision really, really impresses them. Because they understand why I'm asking. So that I know exactly what I cannot do and what I shouldn't do to make sure that not only do they stay with me, but also to make sure that they're happy. And finally, number 9, never, ever, ever become too comfortable with your customer. Treat them just like you treated your spouse when they called you when you were first dating. Treat them exactly like you would if a new prospect called you and told you, hey, I want to buy from you. That is so important, because if you have that type of relational intensity and that type of relational care, and most important, that type of relational attention, I can almost guarantee you that you are going to lose very, very few customers, and they're going to stay with you forever. In the end, what's most important to remember here is that if you want to keep your customers for the long term, you've got to give them time, you've got to give them understanding, you've got to give them attention, and you're going to have to sacrifice for them. It's real simple. I understand, though, it's not always easy. Now, of course, this brings up the question, how much time or how much attention or how much frequency are we talking about here? Now, I don't think there's any hard and fast rule. To me, I want to try to connect with all my best customers at least once a month in some way, so that they don't forget about me and they know I haven't forgotten about them. And if you can think of anything you can do to do that, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to be selling your customers a lot more often, and you're going to keep them forever.